So if shit goes crazy,
That's
it's
awesome.
fun.
That's awesome. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of New Music Inferno. I know it's been a little bit. We've had some issues of scheduling some guests and all that, but hey, we're live. It's Friday. We got, double, triple dosage of Tight Spot here. We have New Music Inferno. We have Tight Spot Lounge tonight at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. Pacific, 5 a.m. Eastern Saturday. We also have gaming after that. We'll be talking about the movie Psycho Gorman tonight in Tight Spots Lounge. Today, though, on New Music Inferno, we have a great musician that I was lucky to find out about through their publicist. Got the email, got the press release, and I'm like, oh, I'm liking this tune. I'm like, I need to get this guy on. I need to find out what makes this guy tick and what is he doing in Saskatoon, which is all the way up in Canada. I've never been to Saskatoon. I've never been to Canada. I meet Canadians all day, every day at work, and I'm like, hey, I'm interviewing one of your countrymen tomorrow, from Saskatoon. And they're like, oh, cool. Like, I didn't get to tell them much about it, but hey, if they're listening in and they're listening in from the airport, hey, awesome. But let's bring him on. Let me bring him on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the lead singer, the man, the myth, the only guy, the front man. I don't even know how to do an intro. I suck at sometimes. I fuck it up. But he is the one, the only Jeff from the band Gunner and Smith. We are live with him right now. Jeff, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Good to be here.
Good to have you here. I'm glad to have you here, and I'm excited to talk about your music. Jeff, I mean, how did this project come for you? Like, how did you, out of nowhere, being in Saskatoon, which I've heard many times because it's a great name of a great part of Canada. I've never been. How did you pick up a guitar, pick up a microphone, pick up a pen and paper to decide to bring out music? Like, what was your intro to music?
I think like in high school, my brother and I started to listen to like a lot of old music, like stuff from the 70s and 60s. My dad had this like small record collection, but like pretty good record collection. And my brother dug it out, and we would listen to these songs. And then, that led into trying to learn to play instruments properly. So then we started to play guitar, and over time, like playing more and more guitar, listening to music. I always wanted to be a lead guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could never find anybody who wrote songs. So then I was always like, had nobody to play with. So then somewhere along the line, I just decided I need to start writing songs so that I can play. And then I'll become a good lead guitar player. And that just led into like me writing a whole bunch of songs, but remaining like a mediocre lead guitar player. And then my brother ended up actually becoming the good lead guitar player, and I'm the songwriter. And so he gets to do the thing that I originally wanted to do.
Nice. And you guys have done a lot. You've been in you were just in Germany, correct? How was that tour? How was that tour?
Oh, I mean, for me, so a few years ago, I signed on with a record label called Devil Duck Records. They're based out of Germany. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where they started up. So they started bringing me over there in 2019, kind of before everything with COVID started happening. So we did like 3 tours over there in 2019, and it was so much fun. So this was my first chance to go back in a long time. So it wasn't a big tour, but we ended up doing about 6 shows. And like, honestly, Germany is just so much fun to play. And there's something nice about kind of being like a newer artist in Germany, because you play the craziest venues. Like one day you'll be like in Hamburg playing like a proper music club, Mm-hmm. And the next day you'll be in some small town playing like an abandoned castle that somebody bought and is fixing up. And then the next day you're in like a small tent with chickens running around. And then the next day you're in this incredible venue again. So it's like, it's all over the map. And then it's just so much fun because the people that we run into there, they just really love music and they're really excited about it. And they'll drive, hour and a half, 2 hours to come see us play. And it's just like for me, it's one of those places that I really love to play, and I've just really enjoyed over the last couple of years getting a chance to do that. We ended it off with this festival. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Hamburg, but Hamburg has this big, crazy street called the Reeperbahn, where all sorts of crazy stuff happens on the Reeperbahn, but they also have this incredible music festival that happens there. So there's venues all over and around this street, and there's just shows happening, and like people are coming out to these shows, and they're packed. So we got to end off with a show at Reeperbahn. So that was so much fun for us.
Never been to Germany, but it's on my bucket list. I've been to Europe once. It was in Spain. I went to Gibraltar as well, and that was all the way in 2001. But it's been forever. I'm hoping to get back here maybe 10, 15 years down the line once things help get better for my wife here. She had a stroke in 2020 on December 1st, and so we've been dealing with all that shit. So that's why New Music Inferno has been on, hiatuses and just life changes and whatnot. But that's awesome with getting to be able to be signed to a German record label and not even being a German artist and being like able to go over there and perform for those people. It's great. It's cool to see how it's gonna be that old saying where music is a universal language. Like and it's cool because you're Canadian, you're over there performing in Germany, getting to perform in hundreds of thousands of people, whatever. That would be at these festivals or these bars or these, like the chicken, bar or whatever you said. And also the story of how you became a musician. That's to have your father say, hey, you know what? I'm going to support you. And then your brother, and then, you just pushing yourself and having the support systems and motivation that you had to put this stuff out. And to be able to get this record out to the world. I mean, that's why I wanted to have you on. I was like, to see these different things and hear these different musicians and get these words out about what they have to offer. And I love what you have on this record, which is out now, called Hear You and In My Head. Where did these songs come from you? Like, how did you, like, were these during pandemic songs? Were they already pre-written before pandemic, or how did this album come about for you? Like, where did these songs, for anyone who's not familiar with your stuff, how did this album come about?
This one is a bit of a mix. Most of the songs off of it are kind of before the pandemic. So I mentioned 2019 was pretty busy for us. Like, I did those 3 tours in Germany, and then we were down in New Orleans playing a festival there, and we were scheduled to play South by before that canceled. So it's kind of like a hectic stretch for me. But I had slowly been building up this album, and it was kind of a mix. And then then the pandemic hit, and then I wrote a couple more to kind of fill it out. But this one's kind of a little bit all over the map for me in terms of like content. There's a couple older songs that I chose to redo. And then there's some that were during COVID. So like an example of that, like I had one song where this friend that I haven't seen in a long time, like we used to be really, really close friends. I still consider him one of my best friends, but he moved away to the West Coast and I never get to see him. And one day he just sent me this letter. And like, because of that letter, I like wrote a song in response for him, or like, one of the songs is about my cat, because he's crazy. And then like,
yeah, and I know you guys saw in the beginning of this interview, he was showing the cat. You couldn't hear him because I had him muted, but I was laughing a little bit early, like when we went live. I was like, that's awesome. I have a crazy dog too, don't worry. She's 15, 16, and she just, like, when I'm live sometimes, she'll be like, Daddy, give me attention. I'm like, babe, I'm live. Wally, come on, settle down.
I've honestly had him, like, I've been having interviews, and in the background, there's like a box, and he's like jumping into the box, and there's like, so I wrote one song about him, but then some of it's more like, so for me, one thing about me is, like, I grew up in like a really like, like Christian religious home. And so for me, a lot of the way that I write is kind of like trying to understand my worldview now that like, that's not something that I believe anymore or feel like, represents me anymore. So for a lot of it, it's like trying to like imagine the world in kind of like a new way when you kind of grew up with sort of this is the way the world is. And there was a lot of good things about that. And then there were some things about that that I don't feel were the, represent me and what I want to be. So it's kind of like sort of reevaluating your worldview, like as your beliefs change and like as the world's changing around you and as you try your best to like understand what's happening around you in the world and sort of like rebuilding your own framework for how you see the world. And I think that to me that takes work and that takes time because my background is kind of like in philosophy and things like that and like history. So kind of like rebuilding my understanding of how I see the world has kind of been a bit of a journey for me. So there's a lot on this record that's about that as well.
It definitely is. And I feel it when I was listening to it last night and the past couple of days getting ready for the, researching it and make, waiting to hear back to get this scheduled. And I was like, this record, it talks to you in different levels. And that's how music should do, and you definitely do that with different subjects, and like you said, researching, reevaluating where you want to be in life, based on from being you're an adult now to being you were a kid, being and you like you said you were a very Christian Catholic family, myself as well, and so that's something we have in common, but in different aspects of religion, different aspects of politics, different aspects of life. I mean, I moved out here. I'm not originally from Vegas. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so I'm an East Coaster. I moved out here with my wife 8 years ago because we wanted to start new living, and definitely it's a life-changing event because it's like, oh, this is the lifestyle out here, and back home, it's non-existent. It's so different, It's so different because these people... I don't know. It's just crazy stuff. Like, it's just, like, you see it because you live it. And you see it probably from when you living in Canada and also, when you travel to Germany, you see different lifestyles. It's like, oh, this is acceptable here, but not acceptable there. And then you see, like, everything. And then, I don't know. I'm babbling on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jeff. I do that sometimes.
But that's all right.
Let's get to the music right now. So the people that are listening in, guys, I know Braden, you're there listening in, or you were. I don't know if you're still here, but anyone else who's tuning in, if you have any questions for Jeff after the song, let us know in the chat. Or if you guys have any questions for him later on while watching this on YouTube or also on the Twitch VOD, hit us up at New Music Inferno on the Twitter, and also hit him up at Gunner and Smith on the Twitter. He might get back to you. He might be busy because he has a show tonight. We'll talk about that when we come back. It's going to be an awesome show. I know you're going to kill it. It's October 7th. It's going to be a great way to start the month. I mean, honestly, we're only 1 week in. But let's get to the songs right now. What song you want to get to first off the album? You choose, Jeff. I like to let you choose.
Oh, geez. That's a tough one for me to choose.
Oh, I know. You have 10 songs. You have 10 songs to choose from.
Okay. Let's do Towns.
Towns? Okay. Why this one? What about this song? What is this song about for anyone who hasn't listened to it? I've listened to the album, but for you, go ahead.
Writers is a guy named Towns Van Zandt. He's no longer alive, but he just wrote a bunch of incredible songs and has been a huge influence on my songwriting. And so this is kind of a song I wrote kind of about him, but also just about like the idea of like what it is to kind of make art as a musician, and you're trying your best to write these songs and make something meaningful and valuable, and just kind of like hoping, I guess, that like you're able to be a part of something that kind of goes past you, like something that's bigger than yourself, that like, I think as a musician, people listen to your music and you're kind of invited in, and they hear your words and your words affect them. And I just kind of thinking about like, my role as a musician and the role of like what I want my music to be for other people. So this is kind of like sort of those ideas kind of all swirling around, while also trying to like in a way pay tribute to a songwriter that was influential to me.
Nice. Well, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, Gunner and Smith with Towns off their new album, which is available now, called Hear You in My Head. And here we go. Enjoy, and we'll be right back with more with Jeff right after this. doubt the dark, I don't doubt the sound. It's something much deeper than that. I question the world, all that's holding me down, and all of the people I meet. Some things never change. Some things never change. I know all the wicked that's behind my own eyes, and I wonder if it's behind yours too. I can handle rejection, and I can handle the night, and I can handle the cold winters too. Some things never change. Some things never change. There's a hole in the heart of the land you once loved. There's something much bigger, much greater than us. Oh, I got a crown made of fool's gold. Bottled it all up, drank it all down, all the hatred, all the cursing I'm feeling. And to close my eyes, I said my goodnights, so please don't disturb my slumber. Some things never change. Some things never change. There's a hole in the heart of the land you once loved. Something much bigger, much greater than us. Oh, I got a crown made of fool's gold. There's a hole in the heart of the land you once loved. Something much bigger, much greater than us. Oh, I got a crown made of fool's gold. Oh, there's a hole in the heart of the land you once loved. Something much bigger, much greater than us. Oh, I got a crown made of fool's gold. Right there, ladies and gentlemen, Towns by Gunner and Smith and Jeff. I know it was about Towns Van Zandt, but I knew I could tell in the song it was about a loss of a loved one or someone that influenced somebody. So that's awesome to find out that it was Towns Van Zandt, and like I can feel the connection to that song with like the left a hole in her heart, and it's a really good song, beautifully written, definitely shows the sadness, shows the support that you had for him, because he influenced your writing and your musical like discography, I guess, so to say. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Go ahead. Oh, you're
Yeah,
muted.
for sure.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yep.
Yeah, definitely one of those musicians that had a big impact on my writing and just like his approach to it. And I think too, it's like, as a musician, sometimes like my music's a little bit darker and a little heavier.
Yeah.
And sometimes as a musician, you worry about like going into that too much, but then, like you listen to like the music I love, the songwriters that I love, they go right into that. They don't pretend to write a happy song when they don't want to. They just like, they're willing to kind of just be themselves rather than kind of like write what they think somebody might want to hear. They're just like, doesn't matter if it's an album of 10 sad songs. And like, to me, those are the records that connect with me. And those are the things that excite me musically. So just a huge influence for me, for sure.
Then let's delve into it real quick before we got to head out here. I know you got to get ready for the show tonight and all that. But what other music do you listen to for anyone out there that might want to check out your influences?
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm a little bit all over the place. I guess like what I always say kind of musically is like I want to write songs like Townes Van Zandt, but I want to play them like Pink Floyd. And it ends up somewhere in between and not either of those things. But like to me, those are two of my hugest influences. Like I love that really like psyche kind of rock thing that Pink Floyd did. But then I also love the like kind of like folk singer songwriter, like more country out like side of things. So like, songwriters like Townes Van Zandt or Graham Parsons or like, I don't know, there's so many. And then, even on the more like experimental stuff, like I was a huge Mars Volta fan when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
Some of those albums.
I want to tell you this. I got to see him live with System of a Down.
Oh, nice. You saw them on that tour. I remember that tour through. So me and a couple friends, when I was 19, we drove from Saskatoon to Minneapolis to see them right after they had dropped Francis the Mute.
Oh,
wow. And them, and they played for like 3 hours, and it was still the craziest show I've ever seen in my entire life.
Dude, they were crazy live. It was them. Oh. It was Bad Acid Trip. Bad Acid Trip was the opener. They were a band, they were like a small band, Bad Acid Trip, and then Mars Volta, and then System, and it was just amazing. And then a few years ago, my wife got last-minute tickets for us to go see System Down and at the drive-in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so crazy.
I'm so I'm just
You're so jealous. Why? Why are you jealous, Jeff? I'm jealous of all the fans going tonight to go see My Chemical Romance at T-Mobile. Okay, let me just tell you the story of this. So right before the pandemic hit, the radio station out here in Vegas had tickets giving away before the tickets went on sale. I won tickets, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to go to the show. The pandemic never existed, blah, blah, blah. No, pandemic comes, canceling the tour. Cancel the tour again because it was supposed to be last year. And then I asked him this year, hey, guys at the radio station, I won tickets for this tour. Do I still get to get them? No.
Oh, no.
It's a sold-out show. It's a sold-out show. And I don't... Second time I ever was supposed to go see My Chemical Romance. Don't get to go. 2005, my friend bailed on me because he had a mental breakdown and never got to go to Warped Tour in that year. And then this year, don't get to go see him at a sold-out show. But hey, I'm going to work. I'm going to come home, get drunk, have a good time, play some video games, talk about a horror film with my best friend from back home in Pennsylvania. And hey, I'm going to have a good night. So, hey, either way. But Jeff, why are you jealous about me not being able to go see At the Drive-In? I think they're getting ready to go back on tour, maybe or whatever. I don't know what they're doing.
I've never got to see them, so I'd love to see them. They're probably not coming through Saskatoon anytime soon. So,
well, we got to talk to them and be like, hey, come to Saskatoon. Come to Saskatoon for Jeff and his friends and let him open up for you. And
there you go.
And put on a little light show because you have to get like 1,000 lights for that show because their shows just at the drive-in and Mars Volta. It was all like lights and shit. It was very intense. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to.
Oh, no worries. That's
a tale of My Chemical Romance.
My Chemical Romance too. Couple other bands that if you kind of like our stuff, some Canadian ones that you might not know because they're Canadian. Yeah. There's another band from Saskatoon called the Deep Dark Woods. One of my personal favorites. If you ever get a chance to listen to them, they're just awesome. And then there's another band called the Wooden Sky. They're based out of Toronto right now, but both just incredible bands. If you kind of like the darker, folkier kind of stuff.
Okay.
Both.
I like that. I was playing the tracks last night, your tracks, and my one friend, my one viewer, Shano said you sound like Amigo the Devil.
Oh, okay. I'll have to listen to that.
You ever heard of him?
No. Oh, I've heard that. Or listened to it.
Oh, he's really good. He's really good. I listened to some of his stuff before, but what was the second band? I got the Deep Dark Woods. I just followed him on not Twitter, on Facebook. What was the other one? I was trying to write what you were typing.
The Wooden Sky.
The Wooden Sky. All right, I'm gonna add them too. I want to branch out to Canadian bands. I want to get people to know who these guys are because I don't know. I didn't know the Wooden Sky or the Deep Dark Woods either. They sound like awesome bands. I mean, if they have your support, then I know they're good. You know, I can tell that you have good taste in music, and if you're friends with them, hey, you know, why would you be like, oh, I'm friends with him, but I hate him, you know? Like, something stupid like that.
Actually, Ryan, the lead singer from the Deep Dark Woods, he produced one of my earlier records. So not this record, not the one before, but the one before that. He was the producer for that. So we got a chance to work with him, and just incredible musicians.
The one before Byzantine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I will check that one out. I did not get time to check out the older stuff, but I definitely will. So let's do this real quick. Before we head out, we're going to play one more track, and then we're going to get the answer to this question. I always ask this question. It's my question that I came up with. I think it's awesome. So, with your music, what song you want to go to next first, so I can ask you this question?
Oh, I have to pick another one.
Yeah, you can pick another one. I like you to choose. I want you to choose and all that good stuff.
Let me think here. Let's do the one I was talking about before that I wrote for my friend. It's called Something More to Give. It's a little chiller, but I like it.
And that's the fourth track. That's the right after Town's track as well. For anyone who has the record or has it on Spotify like we do here. You guys can check it out on there. Hear You in My Head is the album by Gunnar and Smith, and Something More to Give is the song we're going to go to. So, if you could give this song to any other artist or band to perform in their style and genre of music, what band or artist would that be? Think about that, Jeff, and we'll get the answer after we come back. And also, think about what song of theirs that you would want to do and perform in your style of music that you do, which we are listening to right now. Here it is. Once again, Something More to Give by Gunnar and Smith of I Hear You in My Head. And we'll be right back after this.
Wish that I had something more to give. In a letter that finds you well. The miles between our words grew long. The meaning is twice the word. I wish that the world made sense. It was easy to know and to grow up. The days between the years start to run. Oh, there's something waiting at the end. I wish that I had something more to give, that I could speak with holy fire. I wish I could paint the fullness of the night, sing every word that's on my mind. I wish that I knew when to start running from what I have lost. scared that moving my feet and keeping my head down is all that I know how to do. Remember the shores of the lake and how
Having technical difficulties, guys. My alarm went off. I normally take a nap during this time sometimes, but it should not be doing that. I'm sorry, guys. Did not mean to have that happen, but let's get back to the song, guys. Sorry about that.
the miles between and to grow up, that I could speak with holy fire. I wish I could paint the fullness of the night, sing every word that's on my mind. I wish that I knew when to stop running from what I have lost. I'm scared that moving my feet and keeping my head down is all that I know how to do. Remember the shores of the lake and how the northern lights would dance. We called on heaven to show us the way, but got signs we could not understand. I wish that I had something more to give, that I could speak with holy fire. I wish I could paint the fullness of the night, sing every word that's on my mind. Remember that dead-end road and you looking tired like dirt, and that cooler full of Pilsner that was never cold, worth every damn mile that I drove. I wish that I had something more to give, I could speak with holy fire. I wish I could paint the fullness of the night, sing every word that's on my mind.
I just want to say, that song, like, I know you're supposed to interpret music as a listener. And that song, I know you wrote about your best friend that you missed, and that he's moved across the country. I feel the same way. I miss my people. I miss my friends. I wish I could give something more back to the people back home. And it's other things I want to say, but it's like I'm lost for words because it's such a beautifully written song. Like, your stuff is great. Like, when I first it wasn't just the lyrics. It was like when I first heard your voice on this record, when I was like getting the email from your people, and I was like, huh, like, I want to know more about Jeff. I want to know more about this guy that I don't know from Saskatoon who's writing music, and I like it. It just also it speaks to me. I mean, like, you wrote like, it's so cool that you could write a song about your cat. Like, like you did so many different things on this record. Like you said, you wrote about your favorite musician in Towns Van Zandt, and then you write about your cat, and then you write about your best friend. Like, you are overall, like, this record, it's great. It's great. I don't know what else to say. Go ahead. Oh wait,
I'm glad you.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's nice when you make something and it can mean something to people. That's always what you want when you create something, right? Is you take something, and I think like with music and with art in general, you're taking the closest thoughts to your subconscious that you can, and you're putting words to them, and you're trying to put emotion into them. And when that means something to somebody, then it feels good, right? Because that's, it's nice when that happens. So I really appreciate that a lot.
Definitely. And you have a big show tonight. Where is that show for all the listeners out there that may be in your area, or, for just the fans to know?
Yeah, so we're just starting a few shows over the next couple of weekends, actually. There's another band from Saskatoon called the North Sound, and we're going to do a few shows together over the next few weekends. But tonight we're playing a show in Saskatoon at a venue here called The Basement. And then next weekend we're in another Saskatchewan city called Regina, and then we're off to Edmonton, Calgary after that. So just doing a few shows over the next few weekends, kind of promote the record that way, and looking forward to playing. This will be, my first shows around Western Canada since last September, so it's been almost a year. So excited to get back on the road and play some shows here.
That's awesome. It's cool that you can do that. Finally, get back out there in the Canadian provinces and just tour and get it out there with your friends and be able to do weekend shows. I mean, honestly, we all have day jobs. We can't all just be signed to major record labels and get paid the big bucks. But Jeff, thank you so much for being here. And before we go, let's get the answer to the question that we had before the song. So if you could give the song that we just played something more to give to any other band or artist to perform in their style and genre of music, what band would you want to do, and what song of theirs would you take to make your own?
That's such a question, and I don't think there's one answer to that, because there's obviously a lot. But this is what I landed in on, just because I wanted to choose somebody to hand it off to that also has a very impressive beard. There's a Canadian musician named Ben Kaplan, just an incredible songwriter and performer, amazing deep growly voice, and incredible piano player, incredible. He put out an album a few years ago that was just absolutely blew my mind. And on it there was a song called "Plow the Shit," and it was just, I don't even know how I'd go about covering it, but it would be so much fun. And I think that he would take my song and do an incredible job with it.
Well, I think if you really want to cover it, I think you should just maybe take a day, sit down, and look into your mind and pick up the guitar and be like, okay, this is how I want to
do it. More than a guitar. A lot of other instruments to make it work.
Yeah. I mean, but you can do that because you have friends, you have your brother, you have, people that want to work with you. I mean, honestly, you have a beautiful voice, a female on your record as well. Before we go, who was that, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know?
Oh, there's actually two of them, and I forgot their name because they only came to the studio for one day. So this album was really much different because normally record here with people that I know.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry, I'm putting on the spot. I'm sorry. Now you're gonna hate me and unfollow me on Twitter for that.
Great. I should know the answer to this because I only met them for a span of 2 hours.
Hey, you know what? That's a good thing. They're professionals. They came in and nailed it.
Professionals. So I just want to make sure I get the names right because I know their first names, but I don't know their last names. So the backup vocalist on the first track we played That was Maureen Murphy and Nikki Conley. And then the one on the song we just heard was Vaughn Walters. So yeah, I went into the studio with all these players I had never met before. It was crazy because normally I played everything through with everybody, and I know all the players, and we're all prepped and ready. And this time was entirely different. I flew in, I met a bunch of people, and we made a record together. And then I flew out. It was a much different experience this time around.
It worked. And
it was great.
And people are gonna pick it up. I mean, the record's out now. It's on Spotify and wherever people get their music nowadays. But before you go now, this is where we're going to wrap it up. Go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you on the World Wide Web, your socials, and anything else you want to say to the fans out there.
So you can find me Twitter, Gunnar and Smith, Instagram, Gunnar and Smith. We got a website, GunnarandSmith.com. We got Facebook. Also, if you like food, I like to travel places and eat while I'm performing. So I just have an Instagram account where I just post about the food that I eat or the food that I make. And that's called Gunnar and Eats. And it's just, if you like food, that's a fun one too.
That is awesome. I love food. I will have to check out some of the Canadian restaurants that you go to or wherever. I mean, honestly, I have to go back and look at the German experience. I mean, honestly, you probably ate some great food there.
Yeah, man, it's there. Right. It's great.
Yeah, it's food is just, I don't know. Like, I love trying new things sometimes, but like some of the delicacies elsewhere, I'm like, no. Like, I don't know. I don't want to eat roaches. I don't want to eat bugs, but people do that. But Jeff, have a great show tonight. Thank you for spending your afternoon here for a little bit with us. Definitely keep up the great work, and definitely once more music comes our way from you, definitely would love to have you come back here, talk about it, and share it with the world. But everybody have a great night. We're going to be heading out here right now. We're going to raid out to our friend, the coach is BA. He is watching the Philadelphia Phillies and St. Louis game, which is the Phillies losing right now 2-0 in the 7th. But we're going to go over there, watch it with them. Jeff, thank you so much. Have a great night, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
No problem, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.